In the endless, silent ocean of the cosmos, where islands of light we call galaxies drift in an archipelago of unimaginable scale, there are vast regions of profound emptiness. These are the cosmic voids, the great deserts between the filaments of creation, where the echoes of the Big Bang have grown faint and the hum of existence itself seems to fall into a deep and dreamless sleep. Here, darkness is not merely the absence of light, it is a presence, an ancient and patient entity that has watched stars be born and die for 13 billion years. It is in one such lonely expanse, a quiet corner of the universe some 200 million light-years from our own Milky Way, that our story begins. Floating in this serene desolation is a city of ancient stars, a soft, elliptical glow against the black velvet of space-time. This is the galaxy known to us as NGC 1600. It appears placid, a relic of a bygone era, its fires banked low, its days of youthful chaos long since passed into memory. It is a picture of galactic retirement, a gentle giant slumbering through the eons. But within the tranquil heart of this seemingly peaceful galaxy, astronomers discovered something that defied all expectation, something that shattered the silence and posed a question that ripples through our understanding of the universe. Lurking in its core is a monster. A black hole of such impossible proportions that it should not, by our logic, exist there. It is a titan weighing 17 billion times the mass of our own Sun, a gravitational singularity so colossal that its mere presence in this quiet, undernourished galaxy is a profound and unsettling paradox. It is a king without a kingdom large enough to sustain it, a predator that has grown to an unthinkable size in a barren wasteland devoid of prey. This discovery was not a confirmation of our theories, but a direct challenge to them. How did this cosmic behemoth come to be? In a place so starved of the cosmic fuel of gas, dust, and stars that black holes require to grow, what secret history allowed for the birth of such an anomaly? We invite you to journey with us into the heart of this enigma, to peel back the layers of time and space, and to uncover the violent, cataclysmic story hidden behind a veil of galactic peace. We are going to solve the mystery of NGC 1600. Now, let's begin. Music. To understand the magnitude of the puzzle presented by NGC 1600, one must first come to know the galaxy itself, not as a mere collection of stars, but as an entity with a history, a character. Imagine an ancient being, one that has outlived its contemporaries, settling into a long, quiet twilight. NGC 1600 is an elliptical galaxy, a shape that speaks of age and maturity. Unlike the vibrant, spinning spiral arms of our own Milky Way, where nebulae blaze with the colors of newborn stars, an elliptical galaxy is a far more sedate affair. It is a smooth, featureless globe of light, a sphere woven from the threads of ancient starlight. The stars within it are old souls, primarily red and yellow giants that have been burning their fuel slowly and steadily for billions of years. They are the embers of a fire that once raged, now glowing with a gentle, fading warmth. There is no brilliant blue of young, hot stars here, for the raw materials of creation, the vast clouds of interstellar gas and dust, were exhausted long ago. This galaxy is, for all intents and purposes, retired from the business of making new suns. It is a closed system, slowly, gracefully, running down. Its location deepens the mystery of its character. Most giant elliptical galaxies, especially those harboring the largest of supermassive black holes, are found in the bustling metropolitan centers of the universe, the great galactic clusters. Clusters like the Coma cluster or the Virgo cluster are cosmic cities, teeming with thousands of galaxies locked in a frantic gravitational dance. Here, galactic collisions are commonplace. Galaxies merge, tear each other apart, and in the process, provide a constant, rich banquet of gas and stars for the central black holes to feast upon. This is the expected environment for a monster to grow. But NGC 1600 is a recluse. It resides in what astronomers call a galaxy group, a cosmic suburb, a quiet cul-de-sac of only a few dozen members. It is the dominant member, the largest house on a quiet street, but the street itself is in a sparsely populated region of the cosmos. It is an island of relative tranquility, far from the chaotic feeding grounds where its central black hole should have been born and raised. It is as if we found the world's largest predator not in the richest jungle, but thriving in the middle of a barren desert, with no obvious source of sustenance to explain its impossible size. The very placidity of its existence, the ancient calm that defines it, becomes the most incriminating piece of evidence that something is profoundly wrong with the story we thought we knew. The silence of NGC 1600 is not the silence of peace, but the quiet that follows a storm of unimaginable violence, a cataclysm that has faded from view but left behind an impossible ghost in its heart. Now, we must turn our gaze from the gentle, diffuse light of the galaxy and stare directly into its core, into the absolute darkness that reigns there. For at the center of NGC 1600 lies the enigma itself, the ultramassive black hole. It is difficult for the human mind to grasp the scale of this object. We are accustomed to measuring things in terms of our own world, our own sun. But this entity operates on a level of existence that transcends our intuition. 17 billion times the mass of our star. Let that number settle. It is not merely large, it is a fundamental pillar of its galaxy's structure, a gravitational anchor around which 100 billion suns revolve. If you were to place this black hole where our sun is, its event horizon, the point of no return, would extend far beyond the orbit of Neptune. It would swallow our entire solar system whole, not in a violent explosion, but in a quiet, inexorable inhalation of spacetime itself. The planets, the asteroids, the distant comets, all would fall into a darkness from which not even light can escape. This is not a star, it is a rupture in the fabric of reality, a place where the laws of physics as we know them break down into an unknowable singularity. It is a silent god, enthroned in darkness. Unlike the more active black holes we see in distant quasars, which are surrounded by brilliant, superheated accretion disks of swirling gas and dust, the black hole in NGC 1600 is quiescent. It is sleeping. The fires of its accretion disk have gone out. There is no luminous ring of matter spiraling to its doom, no powerful jets of energy being blasted out from its poles. It is simply there, a sphere of perfect blackness, its presence betrayed only by its immense gravitational influence on the stars that dare to orbit it. And this is the core of the paradox. A black hole of this magnitude is the product of immense consumption. It must have devoured matter on a truly biblical scale. It would have needed to swallow hundreds of millions, if not billions, of stars, or the equivalent mass in primordial gas. Such a feeding frenzy would have been one of the most luminous and violent events in the universe, a quasar that would have outshone its entire host galaxy for millions of years. Yet, when we look at NGC 1600, we see no signs of this feast. The pantry is bare. The galaxy is gas-poor, the galactic neighborhood is sparse, and the black hole itself is starving. It is a titan born of a feast in a land of famine. The evidence of its growth has been erased, leaving only the impossible result. It whispers a tale of a violent past that its serene present seems determined to deny. To truly appreciate the anomaly of NGC 1600, we must first understand the conventional wisdom, the accepted story of how these cosmic giants are made. The universe, in its youth, was a far more chaotic and turbulent place. Galaxies were smaller, closer together, and rich with the primordial hydrogen and helium gas forged in the Big Bang. This was the golden age of black hole growth. In the hearts of these young galaxies, infant supermassive black holes began to form, perhaps from the collapse of the very first generation of colossal stars or from the direct collapse of dense gas clouds. As these young galaxies collided and merged, a constant, violent process in the crowded early cosmos, their central black holes were given an almost limitless buffet. Great rivers of cold gas, channeled by the gravitational chaos of the merger, flowed toward the galactic center. This gas, unable to escape the black hole's pull, would form a vast, brilliant accretion disk. As the material spiraled inwards, friction and magnetic forces would heat it to millions of degrees, causing it to shine with an intensity that could dwarf the light of all the stars in the galaxy combined. This is a quasar, a beacon of cosmic consumption shining across billions of light-years. This process, the quasar mode of growth, is how we believe most supermassive black holes bulked up. It is a story of continuous, messy feeding, fueled by the rich environment of the early universe and the constant drama of galactic mergers. Another, slower method involves the gradual swallowing of individual stars or small gas clouds that wander too close. But to build a monster of 17 billion solar masses, this gentle snacking is insufficient. It requires a sustained, cataclysmic inflow of matter over millions of years. The grand narrative of cosmic evolution, therefore, places the largest black holes in the largest galaxies, which themselves reside in the densest, most crowded regions of space, the galactic clusters. Here, the mergers are frequent, the gas is plentiful, and the conditions are perfect for growing a behemoth. And for the most part, this is what we observe. The universe, in its broad strokes, follows this script. But NGC 1600 stands as a defiant exception. It possesses a black hole that belongs in the heart of a cosmic metropolis, yet it lives a quiet life in the cosmic countryside. It lacks the vast reservoir of cold gas needed for a quasar phase. It shows no signs of a recent, major merger that would have disturbed its shape and stellar populations. It is an evolutionary outlier, a creature that seems to have broken the fundamental rules of its own ecosystem. The existence of its colossal black hole suggests that there must be another path, a different, perhaps more violent and dramatic, way to build a monster, a secret chapter in the cosmic story that we are only now beginning to decipher. The first clue to unraveling this mystery came not from what astronomers saw, but from what they could measure. Peering into the heart of NGC 1600 with the power of the Hubble Space Telescope and the Gemini Observatory, scientists began to map the motions of the stars in its immediate vicinity. In a normal galaxy, the stars closest to the central black hole should be moving the fastest, whipped around in tight, frantic orbits by its immense gravity, much like the planet Mercury orbits our Sun more quickly than distant Neptune. The density of stars should increase steadily as one approaches the center, crowding together around the gravitational anchor. But in NGC 1600, they found something bizarre. The core of the galaxy was strangely empty. The stellar density, instead of rising, plateaued and even dropped off in the central few thousand light-years. The stars that were there were not in tight, fast orbits. Instead, they were on wide, slow, looping trajectories, moving as if they had been pushed away from the very center. The heart of the galaxy had been scoured out. Imagine a spinning whirlpool. The water closest to the drain moves fastest. But now imagine a powerful force erupting from the drain, pushing the water and everything in it outwards. This is the image that the stellar dynamics of NGC 1600 presented. Something had acted as a cosmic slingshot, a gravitational disruption of such immense power that it had fundamentally reshaped the galactic core, ejecting stars from their natural paths and creating a vast region of low stellar density. This was the forensic evidence, the crime scene left behind. The sleeping giant in the center was not just a passive object, it was the remnant of an event so violent that it had permanently scarred its immediate environment. The empty core was a ghost, a negative image of a cataclysm. This discovery shifted the entire line of inquiry. The question was no longer just how did the black hole get so big, but also what event was powerful enough to clear out the galactic core. The two questions, it turned out, were deeply intertwined. The solution to one would be the solution to the other. The key lay not in a process of slow, steady feeding, but in a singular, universe-altering event, a collision of two entities, each one already a monster in its own right. From this single, crucial piece of evidence, the scoured core, a new and dramatic theory began to take shape. It was a story not of one galaxy, but of two. Long ago, perhaps billions of years in the past, the galaxy we call NGC 1600 was not the solitary giant it is today. It was part of a cosmic dance with another massive galaxy, a celestial twin, also likely an elliptical, and also harboring its own supermassive black hole at its heart. For eons, these two titans orbited a common center of gravity, two immense whirlpools of stars locked in an inescapable gravitational embrace. This was not the chaotic, gas-rich merger of the early universe, but a slow, stately, and terrifyingly powerful convergence of two mature galaxies. As they drew closer over millions of years, their gravitational fields began to intertwine. Great tidal streams of stars were pulled from the outer halos of each galaxy, forming luminous bridges and tails that stretched for hundreds of thousands of light-years across the intergalactic darkness. It was a silent, majestic collision, playing out on a timescale that dwarfs human comprehension. But the true drama was unfolding at their centers. As the stellar bodies of the two galaxies began to merge, to mix and settle into a new, larger sphere, the two supermassive black holes, each with a mass of billions of suns, began their own inexorable spiral towards one another. They were the heavyweights, the gravitational champions of their respective domains. As their parent galaxies became one, they sank toward the new center of mass, shedding orbital energy by flinging away any stars that got too close. This process, known as dynamical friction, was the first act of the scouring of the core. Stars that passed between the two black holes were ejected with tremendous force, shot out into the galactic halo on wide, eccentric orbits. The two dark hearts were clearing a space for their final, apocalyptic confrontation. They were preparing the arena for a battle that would shake the very fabric of space-time. The theory of a lost twin transformed the image of NGC 1600 from a quiet retiree into a cosmic victor, a survivor that had consumed its own sibling to become the giant we see today. The empty core was not a sign of poverty, but the scar of a conquest. The cosmic waltz of doom had begun. As the two supermassive black holes drew closer, they formed a binary system, two singularities orbiting each other in the newly forged heart of the merged galaxy. Imagine two invisible points of infinite density, each billions of times the mass of our Sun, spinning around each other at an ever-increasing velocity. In the initial stages, their dance was slow, taking perhaps thousands of years to complete a single orbit. But with every rotation, they continued to interact with the surrounding star field, transferring their orbital energy to the stars and flinging them away. The core became more and more depleted. The binary system was acting like a gigantic gravitational egg beater, churning the heart of the galaxy and ejecting matter with ruthless efficiency. The space around them was becoming a vacuum, cleared of the stellar witnesses that could have slowed their descent. This presented a theoretical problem known as the final parsec problem. Once the stars were cleared out, what would cause the two black holes to lose that final bit of energy and actually merge? Without any more matter to interact with, they could theoretically orbit each other for eternity. But nature has a more profound and elegant solution. As these two colossal masses accelerated in their tight orbit, they began to stir the very fabric of the universe in a way that stars and planets cannot. They began to radiate energy away not as light, but as gravitational waves. They were creating ripples in space-time itself. These were not gentle waves on a pond, but a tsunami propagating outwards at the speed of light, carrying with it the orbital energy of the binary pair. This was the final, critical mechanism. The gravitational waves acted as a brake, a form of cosmic friction that drew energy directly from the orbit, causing the two black holes to spiral closer and closer. The dance quickened. Orbits that once took millennia now took years, then months, then days. As they neared their final moments, they were whipping around each other at a significant fraction of the speed of light, warping and twisting the geometry of space around them into a violent, churning vortex. The universe itself was groaning under the strain of their embrace, and the silent scream of gravitational waves grew into a deafening roar that echoed across the cosmos. This was the climax of the story, the moment of creation for the monster in NGC 1600. In the final seconds of their inspiral, the two black holes were releasing more energy in the form of gravitational waves than all the stars in the observable universe combined. This was not energy as light or heat, but a pure, raw distortion of reality, a gravitational storm of incomprehensible power. It was this final, violent burst that delivered the coup de grâce to the galactic core. Any remaining stars were violently ejected, solidifying the scoured, empty heart that we observe today. The space around the merging titans was a maelstrom of warped geometry. Time itself would slow to a crawl near them, and space would stretch and compress in a final, agonizing convulsion. Then, in a fraction of a millisecond, it happened. The two event horizons, the two surfaces of absolute darkness, touched. They merged. They became one. In that instant, the two individual singularities ceased to exist, and a new, single, more massive black hole was born. But the process was not perfectly symmetrical. The newly formed black hole, born from the violent collision of two spinning giants, would have received a kick, a recoil from the asymmetrical emission of gravitational waves, like the recoil of a firearm. This kick, potentially sending the new black hole careening at thousands of kilometers per second, would have caused it to slosh back and forth within the galactic core for millions of years before settling down, further disrupting the central stellar distribution and ensuring the core remained scoured and empty. The immediate aftermath was a deafening silence. The gravitational wave signal, which had reached an apocalyptic crescendo, abruptly ceased, replaced by the gentler ring-down of the new, settled black hole, like the fading chime of a colossal bell struck once. A final, powerful pulse of waves radiated outwards, announcing the birth of the new Titan. And then, calm. The new black hole, now with a mass of 17 billion suns, settled into the heart of its new, larger galaxy. Its hunger was sated. It had just consumed the only meal large enough to satisfy it, another supermassive black hole. With the core cleared of stars and the galaxy now depleted of the free gas that fueled quasars, its period of violent growth was over. It fell into the long, quiet slumber in which we find it today. The battlefield fell silent, the evidence of the war scrubbed away by gravity and time, leaving behind only two subtle clues for future civilizations to find: a single, impossibly large black hole, and the strange, empty space around it. The paradox of NGC 1600 was solved. It was not a creature that grew large in a barren land. It was the result of two fertile kingdoms warring, merging, and ultimately leaving behind a single, silent monarch in a vast, conquered, and desolate territory. The quiet giant was not born of peace, its peace was earned through a war of cosmic proportions. And so, the mystery of NGC 1600 finds its resolution, not in a gentle process of slow accumulation, but in a history of unimaginable violence, a tale of galactic cannibalism and a merger between two of the universe's most extreme objects. The quiet, elderly galaxy we see today is a relic, a monument to a cataclysm. Its serene appearance is a mask, hiding the scars of a battle that reshaped its very soul. The ultramassive black hole at its heart is not an aberration that breaks the rules of cosmic evolution, it is the product of a different, rarer rule, the rule of binary black hole mergers. It teaches us that the universe has more than one way to build its titans, and that some of the most profound acts of creation are born from the most complete acts of destruction. The journey from a puzzling observation, a black hole too large for its home, led us through the dynamics of stellar orbits, into the theory of gravitational waves, and back to a primordial collision that occurred billions of years ago. We have read the ghost story written in the motions of ancient stars. This story reveals a deeper truth about the cosmos. The universe is not a static stage, but a dynamic and ever-changing arena. Its most tranquil corners can be the sites of its most ancient and violent histories. The greatest storms often leave behind the most profound and lasting calm. The silence of NGC 1600 is not emptiness, it is the resonant silence of a completed history, the quiet hum of a system that has found its final, stable equilibrium after a period of earth-shattering chaos. It stands as a testament to the power of gravity, the force that not only holds galaxies together but can also orchestrate their spectacular collisions and the fusion of their dark hearts. It reminds us that even in the vast, cold emptiness of space, stories of immense drama, of life, death, and rebirth on a galactic scale, are constantly unfolding, their echoes traveling across the eons to be deciphered by beings on a tiny blue planet, looking up in wonder. We are the universe's attempt to understand itself, and in the heart of NGC 1600, we have found one of its most epic tales. What would you have done if you could witness it? To see two galaxies merge, to feel the silent scream of space-time as two black holes became one, and to watch as a new, solitary giant settled into a billion-year slumber. What would you have thought, seeing the birth of a monster, and the profound peace that followed?